Now it's time for another Board Game Brawl preview with Nick Minahan, sponsored by BoardGameBliss.com. Hey now, my name is Nick, this is Board Game Brawl, and today we're going to be taking a look at a game that is currently seeking funding on Kickstarter. That game is called Cabaret, and it's from No Chance Games. That's No spelled K-N-O-W, just so you know. Now, what is Cabaret? Well, first off, this is a game that you can find on Kickstarter right now. You can go to the link at the bottom of your screen, and then at the now and at the end of the video, I'll also have the link, and also down in the description section of the video, go to the page, find out more information than I can possibly tell you here, and hopefully consider backing the project. Now, Cabaret is a light trick-taking game, but it's kind of a reverse trick-taking game in a way. You and the other players are trying to put on a stage show, and you all excel at one type of act, whether it's magic or dancing or singing or whatever it might be. So you want to claim, mechanically speaking, you want to claim cards of that type of act in order to enhance your own stable of actors or whatever it might be, and try to get the most points as possible, because you can only score those types of cards, and you can have mimes help you in a way. But the thing is, and the reason why it's a reverse trick-taking game, is because when you play cards in order to take cards from the other players, you cannot follow suit. You must play a different suit of card. Let me go ahead and give you a brief look at how the game is played, and then we're going to come back and I'll give you my final thoughts. Alright, let me give you a brief rundown of Cabaret. This is a competitive trick-taking game, although it is a trick-taking game with a couple of twists. The goal of the game is to get as many stars, which are points, at the end of the game. The end of the game occurs after 3 hands of play. Now, each player is going to get 3 mime cards that they put face down in front of them. These have a value of 0, and they are worth 2 stars at the end of the game if you're able to hold on to them. Then you have the 12 cards from the deck. You'll shuffle up the rest of the deck. Each player gets a card of a particular suit that says Cabaret on it. This is like your start card. This tells you which type of cards, aside from the mimes, that you're allowed to score. That you're allowed to score at the end of the game. So if I have the green suit out here, the magic suit, then I am going to be able to score all of those green cards that I've collected during the course of the game. Other cards that I've taken from taking the tricks are not going to count for anything, but there's also some cards that are in my suit that are of a negative points. That's the 11s and the 12s. If I take those, I'll also have to take those negative points if they're in my suit. And just to show you the artwork on the other cards and the other types of suits, they're just different colors and different types of activities you'd find in the Cabaret. Now, how this is going to work in gameplay terms, at the start of your turn, you'll decide who's going to go first. That player is going to play 1 card face up from their hand. Now, the next player in order has to play a card as well, but they cannot play the same suit as card. Unlike in normal trick-taking games, you don't follow suit in this game. It's the exact opposite, because you're trying to put on a show and different people have different roles. So, for instance, the player to my left could go ahead and play this card down because it is of a different suit, but then the next player might go ahead and play this green 10, which, by the way, I really want, but it doesn't look like I'm going to be able to get it. Then the next player would have to play, let's say there's a 4-player game, would have to play something completely different. Whoever has played the highest card is going to take all of the cards. However, if there is a tie for the highest, which in this case there is actually, just by coincidence, you have 2 11s out here of different suits. Because there is a tie, both players cancel each other out. And then it goes to whoever is the second highest, which in this case would be the green 10. That player is going to be able to take all of these cards. And if one of those is of the color that they really wanted, then they are very, very lucky at this point. Now, let's say it comes to you and you do not want to use any of your cards, or you can't use any of your cards to follow or anti-follow the suit. In that case, you can choose to use one of your mimes, and it will just essentially count as anything, because I guess that's what mimes do. But do remember that mimes are the only other card besides the cards of your suit that are going to be worth points at the end of the game. So you are giving up 2 points in order to do that. And that is really Cabaret. You are just trying to put on the best show possible and focus on what makes you the best at your particular aspect of the show, and try to get as many star points as possible for doing so. If you can have the most after 3 hands of play, you are going to be the winner. Now, Let's get to my final thoughts.
Trick-taking games are an interesting subsection of card games that are extremely popular. There's so many different types of trick-taking games out there. There's classic ones like hearts and spades. There's also kind of more modern ones that have a huge cult following like Teach You. Cabaret follows in those same footsteps, but of course it puts its own spin on it. First and foremost, there's actually a theme to this one where you and the other players are trying to put on this stage show and you're all excelling at one different particular aspect. The game uses this old-timey looking art that really enhances that theme and helps bring it to life, and it's very charming, and I'm sure a lot of people would really appreciate it. On top of that, it kind of breaks from the mold of other trick-taking games by what I mentioned in the beginning and during the overview, sort of reverse trick-taking in a way. I don't know if that's the best word I can use to describe it, but how you are playing against the suits of the other players adds an interesting dynamic to the game that even if you're really familiar with trick-taking games, and even though there may be some games out there that do something a little bit similarly, the whole total package of those mechanisms together with the mime cards that you kind of use as like your last-ditch effort, and together with the theme and with the artwork, it all really comes together into a very unique package for this type of game. It's a very fast game. It's a very easy to learn game. It's a game that you can play with your family, with casual gamers who are not used to heavier, bigger, meatier, hardcore games, or even more complicated trick-taking games. This is the type of game that you can use to introduce them to that world. So in that way, in all of those different ways, it can be a game that's good for a lot of different people. And if you think you or someone you know falls into one of those categories, I'm going to encourage you to go to the official Kickstarter project page. It's going on right now. You can follow the link at the bottom of your screen or down in the description section of the video. That will take you to the page. Find out more information and hopefully consider backing Cabaret from No Chance Games. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.
Thanks for watching. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Patreon. And make sure to check out our sponsor, Board Game Bliss, where you can find an amazing selection of games from around the world. BoardGameBliss.com. Thanks for your support.